Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.
This week on Dialogues in Leadership, the MD of Titan, Bhaskar Bhatt, catches up with Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev to discuss the role of leadership in business and gather his perspective on the matter Giant Steps in Time.
Hi, I'm Bhaskar Bhatt from Titan. Privileged to be here with Sadhguru for the Isha Insight, the DNA of Success. Today, a business achiever is not looked down upon. Those days, business was considered as, well, you're in business, okay, you're making money. Whereas today, from those days, the only icons probably other than, great leaders of the country were either in the film industry or in cricket. But it's changed. I think today's leadership has recognized that age is no bar. The other way, not in terms of the number of years that you've served. It's been a great learning, and as much as possible, if we can empower our youngsters and have faith in them to deliver, it can make a lot of difference to institutions. Certainly, that's what we try to do.
People who are young, or just because they have put less number of years, that we have faith that they will create something, would be a very misplaced faith.
Exactly.
Unless, considering the technologies that we have, the giant leaps that we have taken, that what would take… normally what would have taken a century of change, today happens in a matter of 5 years. So because of that, when people are young, they're becoming old. In terms of experience, in terms of exposure, it will take many years to find exposure to a few things, but today it happens very rapidly. So in that sense, time is definitely taking giant leaps, giant steps. Now, to stay in tune with that, or to stay in step with that, it takes a certain level of education, a certain type of education, certain level of skill development, and a certain level of focus and involvement. Otherwise, just youth alone cannot do that. Youth is a certain dimension of energy as a human being. Or in other words, when you say youth, what you're saying is, it's humanity in the making. So…
Perhaps, maybe my definition was a little limited, but I was only saying all things being equal, 30 years back we would look at youth as age. In the sense, all rational beings saying qualification, experience, all that, and then you say, I think youth brings a freshness to an issue or a problem. Maybe the definition of number of years is wrong, but it still brings a freshness which is very, very, I think, important. And that was my point about youth, not that, otherwise if unequal people you can't compare, if they are not meant for doing a job and you put them in that place, that's what I think you were referring to.
No, what I'm saying is, unless we invest in developing a certain level of skill and capability,
certainly,
just the age is not going to deliver the goods. And above all, what we call as life is just a combination of time and energy. When you refer to youth, there's enormous energy and time. If you look at time as experience, there is not enough experience. So, today, because of the type of access that every human being has, that maturing process can happen much, much more rapidly than ever before in the history of humanity. So what would normally take 25 years of exposure to grasp a few things, today In 5 years of exposure or 3 years of exposure, you know all that because you have access to the entire world. So this gives us a giant leap or a giant step in time because energy is still there. The youth experiences a certain energy, it's still there. What used to be a big disadvantage for them is they did not have experience. But today, because of the nature of technologies that we have, they can take giant steps in time. So when they are 25, their exposure is almost like they are 40, but they have the energy of a 25-year-old. This is a tremendous possibility.
It's a very interesting point. I think the reverse is also true. When I see some truly, those people who have the humility to accept that this time has taken giant leaps, at 50 they realize the technology, let's say, leapfrogged them. And then they accept and then they are willing. Because today, using technology, you can actually unlearn and relearn a whole lot. And those are the best, I find. Those people who have realized that, let's say, the internet bypassed them. And at 50 they realize that, there is still an opportunity to unlearn and relearn. Those make the best leaders, I find,
When it comes to time, in terms of our experience and in terms of how it is, it doesn't matter what you're doing or what you're not doing. Anyway, it's ticking away for all of us at the same pace. If you're awake or asleep, still it's ticking away at the same pace. But it's the energy that you can manage. You can enhance your energy in such a way that what is 10 years for somebody can happen to you in 1 year, if you have a certain intensity of energy. This is a dimension that we want to bring into people's lives, that there is an internal process through which you can enhance your energy in such a way that if you live here for 60 years, you actually have lived for maybe 200 years in terms of normal usage of time as other people, normally average people have. So the leadership in the world, particularly the entrepreneurs, people who are wanting to contribute to the world in so many different ways, this is what we are trying to offer. How to enhance the time that you have, because 1 minute is 1 minute for all of us. It's ticking away at the same pace. But what one person does in 1 minute, what the other person does in 1 minute can be very different, depending upon how intense their energies are and how well organized they are within themselves. This is what we're trying to bring to the business right now, to the business leaders, so that their energies are organized in such a way that their ability to magnify time in terms of what they contribute to the world can be greatly enhanced. This has to happen because when somebody is in a certain position of responsibility or power where they're capable of touching and transforming lives around them in so many ways, either through business or social activity or whatever, their energies have to be enhanced. Their lifespan should feel like it's 200, 300 years of contribution. This can be done not by stretching life in terms of time, but by enhancing energies to a higher level of possibility, which every human being is capable of. This is what we are trying to offer through the Insight DNA of Success. Success comes because your ability to organize your energies, your intelligence is better. That is the reason why one person is more successful than the other. So that dimension, the science of transforming your interiority, engineering your interiority in such a way that you can make 1 minute into 10 minutes in terms of your activity and capability.
On the other side of the break, we talk to the enlightened Guru about the qualities that set a true leader apart and the act of bringing the best out of others. Stay tuned.
Competence is there in various levels, but to organize that competence into an effective force, that is the work of a leader.